We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180. In a recent speech, President Obama said, "When the chips are down, I have Israel's back." To talk about this and other fairy tales, we have Joseph Klein, Harvard-trained lawyer and the author of Global Deception, the UN's Stealth Assault on America's Freedom, and his latest book, Lethal Engagement, Barack Hussein Obama, the UN, and Radical Islam. Joe, welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, when the chips are down, can Israel depend on Barack Hussein Obama?
Well, if you believe that, then, as they say in New York, I got a bridge to sell you.
Yeah.
Bridge. I mean, Obama doesn't have Israel's back. He stabbed Israel in the back on numerous occasions and has treated Prime Minister Netanyahu with total disrespect, including, I think, in this last visit, because while he was trying to pander to AIPAC, the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, which is a Israel lobbying group, and he was trying to polish up his credentials to go to the Jewish constituency and try to keep their vote in November. You know, he was saying all the right things there about having Israel's back and saying that military option was on the table and all of that. But then after Netanyahu left the country, Obama had a news conference in which he essentially said, well, when I say I have Israel's back, I say that about all the allies. And diplomacy is really the route we have to go. And then he agrees to these unconditional talks with Iran, which haven't even begun yet. First they're debating where it's going to occur and what the agenda is, and we're going to eat more time, and the bomb is ticking away.
Well, while he was at this particular dinner that he was, talking about covering Israel's back, he was praising Perez, but didn't say anything about Netanyahu. Why is he so friendly to Perez all of a sudden?
Well, I think it's less being friendly to Perez, who he said he was going to give the nation's highest civilian honor to in the spring, than it is that he really has personal dislike for Netanyahu, because Netanyahu doesn't take any baloney from him. Netanyahu will look him in the eye and say, look, Israel is there for a purpose, to protect the Jewish people from another Holocaust, to have a state that can defend the Jewish people against the kind of killings and assaults that the Jewish people have experienced for several millennia. And we're not going to stand for an existential threat from a regime that has said that they're going to wipe us off the face of the earth. And Obama doesn't like to deal with confrontation and the real truth. He prefers, having people get excited about his rhetoric. And Netanyahu's, he's been around. He's fought in wars. He sees reality for what it is, and it's just something that I guess Obama can't really accept. He was much friendlier with the British Prime Minister Cameron. Took him to a basketball game at taxpayers' expense, and yucked it up with a lot of jokes. Because they danced around the edges as usual diplomaties, without really getting to any hard truths. Netanyahu is different.
Everything Obama does is at taxpayers' expense, unfortunately. Everything his wife does is at taxpayers' expense. This guy is the biggest user of tax dollars and polluter of anybody in the United States. And yet he says he's all for ending pollution, driving down gas prices. This guy just has nothing going for him, as far as I'm concerned.
He just lies every day. Now he's saying that he's all for lowering gas prices. During the 2008 campaign, it was very different. He was talking about having to readjust the whole price structure in order to help incentivize alternative fuels. Well, we saw where that went. All that helped was his political buddies at Solyndra.
Yeah. Call me Joe Klein. He lies. Over and over again, this guy lies. One of the great lies he said recently was, I don't broadcast what I'm going to do. This guy tells you everything he's going to do as soon as someone tells him what to do and how to do it. I have no faith at all in this president, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep hearing during the campaign about Osama bin Laden. And, I've written articles in which I gave him some credit for that. He did make the final decision, although the information on which the location of bin Laden was based came out of some of the enhanced interrogation during the Bush administration that Obama criticized as a candidate. But I'll give him credit for that, using drones more aggressively in the Afghan-Pakistan border. But everything else he's touched has turned into a complete mess. Afghanistan is becoming a quicksand there. I mean, the president of Afghanistan, this corrupt Karzai, is telling us now to get out. Well, I think we should say fine.
Let's get out.
We will, except we reserve the right to come back with drones in case the Taliban help Al-Qaeda set up bases again. That's really the concern we should have. The reestablishment of terrorist bases there and in Pakistan and elsewhere in Yemen, Somalia, etc., and now possibly in Libya. The idea that we're going to turn Afghanistan around into some kind of model democracy and keep out the Taliban forever is ridiculous. This president he's taken all the troops out of Iraq, and so all of the progress we made there successfully with the surge during the Bush administration is now in jeopardy. And then he doubled down in Afghanistan on a nation-building exercise that was doomed to fail.
Exactly. We're having a conversation with Joe Klein, author of Lethal Engagement, Barack Hussein Obama, the UN, and Radical Islam.
This guy, Joe, will do anything to get reelected, and he's been on a campaign since he got elected. I mean, most recently you saw in Texas where they want to let anybody vote who wants to vote. They don't have to show any ID. This is as bad as the passing out loans to people that can't afford to pay them.
Well, this whole argument about voter ID requirements it's a travesty. I mean, to get on an airplane, of course, you have to have photo ID. To get, even Amtrak now says that they have reserved the right, when they collect your tickets, to demand a photo ID, or they kick you off the train. When you go to a pharmacy, sometimes you have to show your photo ID. The notion that in order to exercise the vote, you have to at least show you are who you say you are, where those IDs, by the way, are given out free. It's not a question of setting up some sort of a poll tax or some have alleged. I mean, they just want to steal the election. It's as simple as that.
Joe, I got a question for you on the military option you were talking about. The first rule of bluffing is, for the other guy not to know whether or not you'd follow through on that particular bluff. But do you think there's any way we would exercise the military option? And do you think Iran thinks we would? I mean, I think they're looking at us and going, we're a paper tiger. There's no way we would exercise the military option against Iran.
I certainly don't think that Obama is going to lead in that direction. He may end up being pushed by Israel, which may have to take action if in the next few months nothing comes out of these sanctions or these fruitless talks. But I think Iran does think that Obama is just bluffing and is paper tiger. And there's some things that point in that direction. Number one, in June 2009, instead of squarely standing with the dissidents in the streets of Tehran who were getting beaten, tortured, in some cases killed, for simply protesting peacefully, he basically said it was not really something we should get involved in, and he didn't want to upset the apple cart in what he thought would be positive, unconditional negotiations with the mad mullahs. So he didn't do anything there. He delayed in doing anything in terms of really ratcheting up the heat with the sanctions. Now we're seeing what should have been done at least a year ago with the central bank. He's behind the timetable in every single instance. And then one of the things that he could have been very clear about and drawn a red line is in the area of Iran's building missile bases in Venezuela.
Oh, of all places.
This has not come out, really, and this is happening right now under his watch.
Let's pick up there in a moment when we come back, Joe, okay? We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180.